Detroit wasn't the only city in Michigan with a dictatorial emergency management system put into place in the wake of a financial crisis. Benton Harbor faced the same fate when emergency manager Joseph Harris halted the local government's powers in 2010. But the wave of privatization happening in Benton Harbor didn't sit well with residents, including prominent Reverend Edward Pinkney. And when Pinkney started a recall petition for Benton Harbor Mayor James Hightower, he upset many higher-ups and was subsequently charged with felony election fraud. The 66-year-old Reverend now sits in a jail cell, facing up to 10 years behind bars. So to learn more about Pinkney's case, I was joined earlier by Larry Pinkney, unrelated spokesperson for the Reverend. I first asked him why he was working to recall the mayor.
Abby, the fact of the matter is that the so-called mayor, James Hightower, and I say so-called because a mayor is supposed to be representative of the people. And this mayor, James Hightower, is anything but a representative of the people. He's in fact a proxy of Whirlpool Corporation. And of course, Whirlpool Corporation is headquartered in the township of Benton Harbor.
Break down exactly how much influence this corporation has in Benton Harbor and how exactly Hightower is protecting its interests.
What James Hightower has done is he is bringing in to Benton Harbor, corporations such as the PGA, you know, the big golf tournament, and the land that is being used for this quote-unquote golf tournament is land that has literally been taken from the people of the township of Benton Harbor. Now that, we say, is outrageous. Meanwhile, James Hightower, instead of standing up like he should as a representative of the people, just goes right along with the program.
Since the altering of a petition is a misdemeanor offense, why do you think the Reverend was charged with a felony along with other trumped-up charges?
He was charged with, first of all, I want to make this clear. Reverend Pinkney did not change anything. He did not change dates on petitions. He did not change anything. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that he did. Your point is well made and well taken. Why indeed was he charged with felony charges? And the answer to your question is because he is being pursued politically. He has been, for over 2 decades now, a thorn in the side of Whirlpool Corporation and its lackeys. I have no other word, no other adjective that describes what these people are, other than lackeys. That's what they are. They're lackeys proxies. So naturally, they were going to charge him with the harshest offenses that they possibly could. But beyond that, let's understand that Reverend Pinkney was told by the mayor that he would regret having been involved in the recall movement. And I dare James Hightower, the mayor, to say he did not, because I have heard the recording of the conversation. I have heard Hightower said to other people who were directly involved in the constitutional recall of him, okay? And people, and let me also be clear about this. This is not a, quote, racial, I hate that word. It's not a, quote, color issue. James Hightower is biologically black. So, you know, lackeys come in all forms, colors, shapes, etc. So this is a matter of economic survival, and not just survival, but the economic empowerment, if you will, or disempowerment, as is the case in Benton Harbor.
I totally hear you on that one. I wanted to bring up, though, the fact that the jury was all white in a community that is 90% Black American. I mean, how is that even possible, and what else was problematic about the trial?
Well, you know, the estimates, it is between 90 to 96% African American or Black American. You're absolutely correct, Abby. Absolutely correct. How one could end up with an all-white jury is beyond insane. Now, the court tried to justify it by saying, oh, well, our jury pool came from primarily the adjacent town, the predominantly white town, which is across the river, called St. Joseph. And of course, our reply is, excuse me, Reverend Edward Pinkney comes from the overwhelmingly over 90% population, Black population in the township of Benton Harbor. They have no reason other than, that's why I call it Benton Harbor, Michigan, Mississippi, because that's what, I mean, you hit, that's why I watch you, Abby, because you go right to the heart of matters. And that's the heart of the matter. Also, let me add another point, if I may. We later found out, when I say later, I mean once the trial began, once the jury had been, this all-white jury had been selected, we later found out that indeed one, if not more, but for sure, one of the jurors was a very close friend of none other than the so-called, or one of the so-called star witnesses of the prosecution. Now, I say so-called star witnesses because there was no, and I repeat, no direct evidence linking Reverend Edward Pinkney to have done anything wrong. He did not change anything on any petitions. There was no evidence, but the court judge, Chirac, said, now check this out. The man actually had the unmitigated audacity to say in his instructions to the jury, well, you don't really have to have, you know, evidence. You don't really need direct evidence. Well, I scratch my head and say, well, excuse me, but I thought that one would be, quote unquote, innocent until proven guilty. There was no proof. There was plenty of innuendo, plenty of racist diatribes, plenty of all of that.
That's
but there
insane.
was no proof.
That's insane.
But that's Benton Harbor.
I know there's a petition to get the DOJ to re-review Pinkney's case. What else can people do to help spread awareness? We have about 20 seconds left.
Okay, well, I would urge people, remember, Reverend Edward Pinkney is a 66-year-old senior citizen, a fighter. All right, but I'm urging people to contact Banco. That's B-A-N-C-O. You can Google it. It's right there. We are trying to raise legal defense funds. We are trying to, he's going to be moved from to some other prison facility. We don't know where yet. But please, please understand that Reverend Pinkney is not just about him, but it's about all of us. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that people will pay attention to the plight of Reverend Pinkney and understand that it affects all of us. And I thank you so much, Abby, for giving me, no, not me, us, this time.
If it can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. Larry Pinkney, family spokesperson for Reverend Pinkney, thank you so much for your incredible insight.
Thank you.